Hello and welcome to Chuck's Diecast Car and Model Reviews. Today we're taking a look at, well, what I think is an excellent model. This is a model of the Ferrari SP3 Daytona made by Bburago. This is actually not just your regular Bburago. This is part of their Signature series, so it's the higher end model, and it has a higher end box, as you can see here. Nice thing about this packaging is it comes with full styrofoam upper and lower clamshells to hold it in place for better security, as opposed to the usual Bburagos you see with, it just screwed to the base and with that clear plastic window. But this is a really good model, and it does have a bit of a more premium price, of course, over a regular Bburago. I think I paid about a little over $100 for this model, and I'm certainly very happy with it. Now, the Ferrari SP3 is part of what's called the Icona series from Ferrari. Icona being icon, and basically these are cars that are being built that harken back to older classic Ferraris. The SP1 and the SP2, which came out about 4 years ago, something like that, are basically variants of the same car. The SP1 and SP2 Monza, which were open-topped cars reminiscent of like the Ferrari Barchettas of the 1950s with the front engine V12 in them, and the SP1 had one seat, the SP2 had two seats. I actually did a review of the SP1 in another video if you want to look it up, and that's actually a very good model for just being a standard Bburago model, honestly, if you want to take a look at that. This car is more reminiscent of a car from the 1960s, a race car by the name of the Ferrari P4, which I've seen a couple of them, and they are spectacular. They are really one of the most beautiful race cars ever made. Just look it up here, and I actually did a review of a model of one of those as well, if you want to look that up too. Okay, but this car is, of course, is a modern interpretation of that, and it has all the modern stuff. It has a 6.5 liter V12 with 829 horsepower. It has a red line of 9,500 RPM. They're only making 599 of these. And I spoke with a sales guy that I know at the Ferrari dealership, and he says that to buy these cars, Ferrari asks you if you want to buy one. You don't go to the dealership and say, hey, I want one of these. Ferrari goes to you and says, would you like to have one of these? And in order to get first dibs on them, you essentially had to buy an SP1 or an SP2 when those came out. Or you have to be, like Mr. Extra Special Customer, So again, they're making 599 of these. From what I understand, this is the last V12 that Ferrari's making. Not because they want to, but because European Union regulations are essentially forcing them to. Which is also why there is no longer a V8 Ferrari, and instead the 296 has a V6 in it. Taking all the fun out of things here. The other cool thing about this car is it is not a hybrid. It is just a straight up naturally aspirated V12 car, so that's very cool as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at this model here, okay? Now, first of all, when you take a look at it overall, one thing you'll notice is that the paint is really, really good on this car. They really did a nice job. You know, it is that Signature series, so I guess they took a little bit more time and quality control in the paint. So it looks really, really good. When you take a look at the wheels here, you can see again really nice detail there. Correct color. It's not like a weird chrome color. That's the proper color for the wheel. Great center cap. Great lug nuts, although I'm kind of surprised it's not, you know, a center locking wheel, you know, because that's kind of the thing all the cool kids do now with their supercars. The caliper looks really good, and the rotors turn with the wheels, if that really means anything to you. Front end here looks great. That's those louvers or strakes or whatever you want to call them that lead into the brake duct are sort of the tribute to the Ferrari P4 in the front here. The grille looks very nice, even though it's just textured plastic and doesn't go all the way through. The Ferrari logo looks good. And the headlights have the same little party trick that the real car has, in that there's a little eyelid over the headlights, as you can see here. See, when the headlights are on, you've got them uncovered, and then when you have the headlights off, those little eyelids go down and basically cover up half the headlights. Sort of reminds me of an Alfa Romeo Montreal, honestly. There's a interesting aerodynamic strake here as well, if you'll notice. Let's see if you can see a little bit better from this angle. I'm sure that helps keep the nose on the ground at, you know, when it's going over 200 miles an hour, which it can do. Now, they even have an opening front trunk here too, so that is a nice aspect here. And putting a little light on there, you can see what there is in there, which is just that bit of space for your little bag when you're going on a trip or whatever. So again, good for Bburago to include that there as well. Now let's take a look at the rear. Now, first of all, you'll notice that there is essentially no rear window. I mean, you've got this tiny little thing here to look at the engine, but I'm sure you can't see out of there, or maybe you might barely be able to see anything out of there through a rear view mirror. So I'm sure there is a rear view camera in these things. Otherwise, you are completely blind from looking at things from behind. There is a rear wing here, but it really it doesn't operate in the model here. You can see that these louvers or strakes wrap all the way around the rear of the car. Now, the P4 does not have that feature. They're only in the corners. But from what I understand, there was like a Ferrari concept car that had that sort of look in the 60s or 70s. Plus, the Ferrari Testarossa of the 80s sort of had that same look as well. The dual exhausts are very cool. And notice they really did a nice job on that prancing horse there too. Of course, textured carbon fiber there on the rear, and you can see of course, the ground effects strakes there at the rear too for the diffuser at the back. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the engine here. They did a nice job on the engine for, well, what you can see here, because there really isn't a lot to see on the engine because it's so far down in the chassis for, you know, center of gravity reasons and things like that. So let's put a little bit of light in here. You can see, first of all, that they did put engine struts in there holding up the clamshell, which is nice. You can see the two intakes for the engine there, and the center little silver doodad, which I'm not sure what that is, but maybe there's an oil filler cap in the center. I find it interesting to see that the wheels and tires are not enclosed in a one-piece tub. I guess the top of the clamshell includes part of the wheel well liner, basically. So that's very interesting. So again, a pretty well done here on their part to have you see all those details. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the interior of the car. Now let me close this first of all, and then I'll open the doors. And of course, like any proper supercar, they don't open like a regular car. They open, I guess, gull wing style or whatever you want to call it. And if these look like the way the doors open in an Enzo or a Ferrari Aperta, from what I understand, this is built on the chassis or tub of the Ferrari Aperta, which is essentially an open top version of the Enzo. So because it is based on an open top version of the Enzo, the roof does open. Okay, so you can take that off. And let's take a look at this interior. Well done interior. I mean, no complaints here. I really think they did an excellent job. First of all, the dash looks pretty good, even though most of it is hidden by, you know, the steering wheel there. But that steering wheel looks great. You can see all the buttons and controls for what they call the Manatino system there for the car, which means that it is a means of confusing drivers of the car due to a billion buttons on the steering wheel. I like the center console. They really did a nice job of detailing the center console. And notice how the center console has these controls arranged sort of like the shape of the older Ferrari manual transmissions gated shifters, which is very nice. I like the fact that they put a fire extinguisher in there too. And detail on the seats is again very nice, although the seat belts are plastic, and they stick up proud of the seats instead of laying down like fabric seat belts would. So that is the one thing that takes away from this model, honestly. I don't know how I'll resolve that issue, but maybe I can do something to make those seat belts lie down. So anyway, that is it. I mean, that is my review of this car, and I really, really like this model. I think Bburago did a great job on it. And if you like this review, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Have yourself a great day.